From the combined newsrooms in Eugene, Roseburg, and Coos Bay, KVAL News at 5 starts now.
West 18th reopened at Willow Creek Road after it was shut down due to a brush fire fueled by today's hot and dry temperatures. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kendall. Bartley. Brandon cameraman is off. That fire starting around 2:30 this afternoon, affecting the road for nearly 2.5 hours. Eugene Springfield Fire was able to quickly get that fire under control. It burned about 3.5 acres with no one injured and no buildings at risk. With today's conditions, though, the Oregon Department of Forestry wants you to be ready if or when you may see a fire, regardless of the size. If you do see smoke coming out of a forest or a wildland area, ODF says call 911. If there is a fire that is smaller, says there are other steps you should take as well, especially if you are in a campground or near a forested area.
They may come upon a campfire that isn't completely out. It might have some still live embers, still be smoking a little bit. And for that, if they have the proper tools like a small shovel and some water on them, we recommend that they drown it with water, stir it with their tool, and repeat that until the embers are completely out. So it should be cold to the touch before they leave.
And hot weather doesn't only increase fire danger, it increases factors like heat exhaustion for firefighters as well. You can find a list of full restrictions and fire tips on our website. We're talking about heat, we're talking about fire danger. KVAL's Alan Matthews joining us now at the desk. Alan, another extreme day today.
Yeah, actually it's even hotter today than it was yesterday. And about an hour ago, our producer asked if we'd set any records so far. The answer then was no. The answer now is yes. We're going to cover that in just a little bit, but let's show you what's going on because we still do have all these heat-related advisories to pass along. We have an extreme heat warning that's still in effect for the Willamette Valley. That's going to run until Tuesday night at 10 o'clock. We have this heat advisory in effect for these valleys along the coastal ranges until Tuesday night at 10, and then we have this heat advisory in effect for the Umpqua Valley. That's going to run until Wednesday morning at 2, and basically for the Umpqua Valley and for the Willamette Valley, we're going to be looking at temperatures again in the upper 90s to triple digits. Now, as far as our current temperatures are concerned, yeah, it has gotten hotter today. Eugene right now at 102 with the sunny sky. Winds are relatively calm, and that humidity level, that is very low at 17% right now. We look at your weather headlines. Another hot day tomorrow, though, will be a few degrees cooler. Morning coast, the coast is going to see some fog tomorrow morning, and then our cooling trend starts on Wednesday. And by the time the weekend rolls around, we're actually going to see some temperatures possibly in the 70s for Eugene. We'll talk more about that with your full forecast in just a bit.
Thank you, Alan. And with these hot temperatures, we are asking you at home, does your city provide enough cooling resources? If you'd like to participate in this poll, go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen. That will take you to our website. Once again, this poll is anonymous. So far, we're split 43 yes, 40 no. So once again, if you didn't scan that QR code, just head to our website, kval.com. And be sure to stay with KVAL by scanning the QR code on your screen now. That's where you can find all of our social media accounts, YouTube, website, and more, so you can stay up to date with KVAL even when we are off the air. And as the hot weather continues, it's important to be careful, especially on the water. We are still waiting to learn more about the condition of a person pulled from the Willamette River Saturday night. Eugene Springfield Fire says search and rescue crews were called to the river around 6:45 for reports of a person swept away by the current and not resurfacing. The person was spotted downstream from a Wasso bridge near Beltline Highway before crews located the victim below the surface about 30 minutes later, brought them to a waiting ambulance. The person was transported in critical condition. Tonight, Bay Area Hospital announcing that Quorum Health terminated their letter of intent. The two sides entered a non-binding partnership in December of last year in hopes of securing the future of the hospital. Negotiations began and were later extended in March of this year after an agreement wasn't reached in the initial 90-day negotiating period. In a statement to our newsroom, hospital board chair Simone Alonso said, quote, the commitment of the board to preserving access to high-quality health care on the South Coast remains unchanged. Bay Area Hospital is essential to the health and well-being of our community, and we are focused on evaluating all possible options to ensure its long-term stability. Quorum CEO of Health also providing a statement saying, quote, "We felt that it would be appropriate for both sides to step back from the letter of intent process to allow time for Bay Area to focus on its operations to strengthen access to health care in the region. As we conclude discussions, we walk away with deep respect for the Coos Bay community's unwavering commitment to its hospital," end quote. And Oregon is now projected to lose $15 million in federal funding because of budget cuts from the Trump administration. Funding for food programs and Medicaid, as well as other similar programs, will face the most substantial cuts. The Oregon Health Authority saying that between 2025 and 2027, Medicaid funding will be cut by nearly $500 million nationwide. Governor Tina Kotek says she will work with lawmakers to limit the damage for people impacted by those cuts. Now, this comes from a preliminary analysis from Oregon's chief financial officer, but that analysis could change depending on federal guidelines. The Oregon DMV bringing in millions of dollars a year selling your personal information, and there's no way for you to opt out of it. State law outlines who can get your personal information, and the state takes great pains to make sure that information doesn't end up in the wrong hands. And we did speak with the employee who oversees the unit processing the request for information. He spoke about how the state protects your information.
We have to provide access to legitimate requesters, but anytime we have an allegation of any type of misuse, we follow up on it immediately and get back to the customer and let them know what, if anything, happened with their record.
Records show the Oregon DMV has contracts with 15 bulk buyers that pay for information, then turn around and sell it to qualified entities. Daniel says his team audits them periodically. The buyers are required to share details every sale, including who bought the information and what exception they qualify for under state law. Privacy advocates have lobbied state and federal lawmakers to block access to this personal information. Lane County has a new clerk after former clerk Dina Dawson left the post to work with the State of Oregon Elections Office. Tommy Gong comes to Lane County after 22 years in election administration. In addition to overseeing elections, Gong is responsible for issuing marriage licenses, recording real property, and coordinating the Property Values Appeal Board. He started the role in July following a nationwide search. In Corvallis, more than 100 people who were homeless now have housing, thanks to a Benton County program. The Flexible Housing Subsidy Pool Program is a collaborative effort to achieve long-term housing stability for those going through homelessness. The housing navigation process involves partnering with multiple agencies in the county and outreach to property managers. The program began in June 2024 and had 1 year to provide shelter to 50 households, but they exceeded that amount, housing 54. The program manager for the county's Coordinated Homeless Response Office says she's thrilled with the work her and her team have achieved, especially under a tight deadline.
Not every household or human is going to be operating on a specific timeline. And we had a one-size-fits-all with a grant opportunity that had to have outcomes achieved by a very specific time for people to be able to utilize those resources and to put a timeline on those trust building processes and those relationship building processes. It was definitely the oomph that we needed, but obviously, you know, it has its limitations.
Taylor says after people are rehomed, the organization continues to step in and help them learn the skills necessary to manage a home. The program provides financial assistance to remain in these homes for 2 years. That full interview with Taylor is available on our YouTube. And Square One Villages in Eugene is expanding its footprint with plans for another permanently affordable housing cooperative. The nonprofit announcing today that it recently acquired the Our Redeemer Lutheran Church property on Maxwell Road, just a mile from its Peace Village co-op on River Road. Peace Village opened at the end of 2023, providing 70 homes for households earning between 30 and 60% of the area media income. Inspired by that model, the Our Redeemer congregation sold its 2.4-acre property to Square One for well below market value. The site will eventually be redeveloped into 44 new homes for residents earning 40 to 80% of the area media income. In the meantime, it will continue to host long-running community programs, including a bi-weekly food pantry and a free organic produce market through October. Well, coming up on KVAL News, President Trump announcing a plan to federalize Washington, D.C., the concern from the district's mayor and Representative Val Hoyle. Next.